Welcome back to another episode of Unfollowed. We have Arynne and Emily. Emily with a very bright green matcha drink. For anyone who's watching the video, I have a different background because I'm currently in New York City, the place where ovaries go to die. And so I am here for a couple weeks visiting family. I'm a political refugee originally from New York, for anyone who doesn't know that. So hopefully
political refugees.
Yeah, hopefully I won't be getting shoved in front of a subway or stabbed anytime soon, but you never know. You know what actually I have to protect myself? I got this little pepper spray. It's like bedazzled pepper spray to be in New York City. The other thing you never know if you're going to need it while you're here, and I always have it in my purse, is my pocket constitution, actually. So I have this for walking around the city. And the two, it's kind of like garlic for vampires. Like you show that to libs and they don't know what to do with it. And they all run away scared. So between the two, I should be safe.
I just got back from New York because I did Gutfeld and I was staying with my girlfriend. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, New York is so fucking disgusting. It's like, okay, first of all, the subways are gross. Everyone on it is insane. I watched this guy literally sit there in front of me who looks like a prison inmate, eat a burrito and just throw it all over the ground, drink water, throw it all over the ground. And I was like watching and I was like, oh my God, a level of insanity came out of me where I was like, nothing I could say on the show because we'll get banned. But I was just like, the fact that we like allow this type of shit to happen. And out of all these New Yorkers, which are supposed to be so badass on the subway, I'm like, so none of you guys have the balls to say something to this fucking piece of shit who probably lives off our like fucking your taxpayer dollars here. And I was like, this place is fucking gross. And then there's like tons of parts where it's like immigrants and I don't know if they're like Haitian or something, but like this guy was like just telling me at a burger place, like, they just go by and grab your phone and purse. But I'm like, I'm sorry. People talk shit on LA, but like LA like is nothing compared to New York. New York is like an actual shithole, even in the nicer areas.
Yeah, well, because New York City is just all concrete. So in LA, you used to get nature. It's more spread out. And also everything that's happening here is a choice, right? Like it doesn't have to be this way. And it's just crazy how the city, like Giuliani really rebuilt the city. He had the broken window policy. Things were really good under him, under Bloomberg. And then it just, all it takes is one bad mayor to really undo it. And it really obviously started under, I always call him Cucklord Bill de Blasio because he's just like talking about how he's in this open marriage with his wife and his wife is just like with other men. He also killed, was it a groundhog or hedgehog? He like held up the groundhog and he dropped it. Puxatawny Phil. Never forget Puxatawny Phil because he held him up and then Puxatawny Phil died a few weeks later because Bill de Blasio dropped him. So never forget when they were looking at his shadow to see if winter would last another 6 weeks. And Puxatawny Phil did not last another 6 weeks. So that is the city I am in right now. I will also say that I haven't been here in a while. The last time I was here was just for a few days, very, very quick. Wasn't paying that much attention to the city. I'm in Florida full time. And being back here, the biggest change I notice is how even the straight men are gay. Everyone's gay in New York. And literally. So that's very interesting. I was at the gym this morning and I was like, am I doing the same weights as the guys next to me? The answer is yes, I am. And I'm a skinny little girl, but everyone here is, the guys have tighter jeans.
I was going to say, even it's kind of similar in LA, I guess, but it is really funny because I'm like, you just get to a point if you're just like a normal woman. Like, I'm not looking at men, but you're like, everyone seems like low key kind of gay.
Everyone's gay here. And there's this like morphing. There's a morphing into an androgynous form for both men and women. And so the guy's hair is getting longer while the women's hair is getting shorter. So if you're walking behind a couple, you won't necessarily be able to tell who's what by just walking behind them by the way they're dressed and the hair and everything. So that is New York, but it's great to see
I was
friends.
In Williamsburg, it's all like butch lesbians.
Everyone is a lesbian here, including the men. So one of the things I want to say about being in New York is that I forgot a bunch of things and I'm feeling it. So I forgot dry shampoo, which is pretty brutal, but I forgot my field of greens, which you have. Like you have it right there with you.
Look at my little fruit nails.
Fruit nails for field of greens.
This is really bad. Okay. Especially if I'm traveling. Look, if I'm home, I have access to healthy food everywhere. I'm very lucky. I'm traveling in New York. I realized besides this, I did not consume a vegetable in 4 days. I ate 5 cheeseburgers while I was there and was not working out. And I'm like, this is why I'm like, you guys, this is the easiest way. You can just put it in water. I like it in a smoothie because I think it's like, I just think it's easier. But I'm like, I am so bad. I will not eat vegetables. This is my only way right now. Only if I'm traveling. But I basically had Field of Greens and then I had 5 double cheeseburgers. So
I need something that's going to make sure that I'm just getting what I need because I'm running around all over the place in the city. So I'm going to be going to fieldofgreens.com and actually using our promo code because I need to get a new shipment. So if you guys go to fieldofgreens.com and use the promo code unfollowed, you'll get 15% off and free shipping. So go to fieldofgreens.com, use code unfollowed for 15% off and you won't be sorry. Anyways, we have a lot. Emily and I have a lot of topics to go over today. And where do you want to start?
I apologize in advance if I'm tired because I literally shot, I think, fucking 9 hours straight yesterday on a Jubilee panel of 25 Democrats, aka mentally fucking insane, retarded people against 25 or 28 Republicans, who, might I add, were also mostly retarded, unfortunately, but I believe that they probably casted them on purpose because we all know there's always a bias and everyone wants our side to look bad. Because every single one of these topics I could have demolished with no education, and somehow we kept sending people up to debate. And I was like, how do you drop the fucking ball this hard? Like, there was a guy who worked at Border Patrol who talked about immigration, and like, the Democrat kind of did better than him. And I was like, okay, see, this is why we fucking lose. I don't know how our side has become like very dumb, but I was like, it literally was like every topic they like dropped the ball, and me and Xavier were like, what the fuck? Thank God Xavier did race in America and he ate that shit the fuck up. But other than that, I was like, well, this is really embarrassing for us.
Well, speaking of retarded, I would say the difference between Florida and New York also that I realized through time. I mean, I've always known this, but it's so obvious now, is that people in Florida might be stupid, but people in New York are retarded. And what I mean by that is like there's an incompetence level being down in Florida, because I'm in Miami, right? So like the best part of living in Miami is how close I am to the United States of America, right? It's a very different place. And so like everyone's texting while driving, like no one knows English, everything's kind of incompetent. Like I wouldn't really trust for a lot of things to be done well. Like I had to have a handyman try to fix something in my sink, and the way they were doing it, as someone who doesn't know plumbing, I knew it was wrong. So that's Miami. But people are kind and happy, and they're, usually like they believe in God and religious, and they have good values. And like there's like more, like people are more based in Miami. And then I come up to New York where, you might be like smart and earning money, but you're just retarded. Like you think a man can become a woman. Like that is not real. That's just, we've lost you. We've like you actually, like I was at this wedding this weekend, and I was just being myself. And some girl who lives in Brooklyn asked me, she's like, how do you feel about trans? And I said, I don't call it trans. I say fake. Like, oh, you're a fake woman? Oh, okay. And then she said, well, how do you feel about non-binary? And I answered her, that just means you need attention and also have bad fashion. Like that's,
and you're most likely overweight.
Yeah. And you're probably overweight. You probably have thick nipples. You have fat nipples, as we talk about on the pod. So
it was really funny when you said that. I was like, I actually understand 100% what you're saying. I was like, somehow you said it, and I was like, I need no further explanation, because it's kind of the same with people here. People here are not smart. They're actually, they're not dumb. They're very highly educated, but they're literally fucking retarded.
Yes.
And then I'm not educated at all, and somehow I think I'm least retarded.
I would agree with that. I think at this point, especially today, we're shooting this on Monday, October 7th. Today, I'm in New York City. There are a ton of protests that are going to be coming up this afternoon, which is crazy to be protesting on a day where there was just a pogrom against innocent festival goers and people in villages on the Gaza border in Israel. And you see these protesters, and so many of them are just like, daddies paying for their private college education. And you just think, wow, like your intelligence is just inversely correlated to your college ranking at this point. Like it's embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed to say I went to Columbia at this point. Also, a lot of these protesters are professional. This will be out probably Tuesday, October 8th, but I will likely be going later this afternoon with somebody to one of the protests to see what's going on. I have to be really careful because Emily, this might be my last podcast, but But we need to be really careful because these people are really violent.
Literally.
And also the person I'm going with told me that they're very heavily media trained, which is not surprising. We know a lot of them are like, Soros funded, bust in. Like they're not actually, a lot of them are not students. When you look at these photos, they look like Antifa just at a protest. But it's
they are Antifa and they're old and they're paid and they're bust in.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're like, this is not a college student. This looks like a 30-year-old meth addict.
I forgot that was today because I was just like, oh my God. Like my boyfriend was just like, honestly, you just shouldn't even leave the house. Cause I was just caught in a Palestine rally. In which case, what's so funny? We were talking about last night. I'm always like, me and Xavier were laughing. I'm like, I wish Trump was the president the left thinks he'll be. I actually wish he was like this crazy far-right dictator, because after you get stuck on Wilshire for 2 hours for pro-Palestine people, by the way, got out of my car to fight one of them, but of course that fucking bitch drove off. She was in a white Tesla, Palestine sticker. If you see her car in LA, do your job, act accordingly. And it was so funny because I just was like, literally, fuck these people. And it's funny because like, I'll even be pretty honest, like when everything, I mean, I'm always transparent because I don't give a shit. I have no boss to answer to, but when everything started happening, like, obviously I was like, I'm not a specialist in the fucking Middle East. I think we all know that. And I was like, I saw what was happening. And when you see like one side in the news, you're like, holy shit, this is horrible. And I was like, yeah, I like really, I like feel for the Palestinian people and all these things. And I'm like, it's hard because like I'm an American first commentator. And I was like, fuck, we are sending like all this money to Israel and all this shit. And then like last night, Dr. Sheila Nazarian went up and she is unfucking believable. She is my hero. She is like, just this bitch somehow looks like a supermodel, is a mom, is a doctor. It's like a specialist in the Middle East, like literally came from,
she's a plastic surgeon and was on like on a really popular Netflix show. The woman somehow does everything. Yes.
Yes. She is like literally she was talking and I like literally was tearing up, and I'm like honestly not an emotional person at all. But I was just like, when you look at the bigger thing, it's so funny. No one on the left will ever acknowledge that, because I said sucking at a war is not a genocide, especially when it's a war you started, because they never acknowledge what happened. They acknowledge what happens when they're losing, but not what they did. And I'm like, Israel is an ally, of course, but I'm like, dude, it's very simple. Israel, we don't protect them. They fall, they get slaughtered. And that's one giant leap forward for them, because the next is going to be us. And I'm like, oh, if the Palestinians are so lovely, why does no one fucking want them? Why does every other country say absolutely not? Look what they did when they went to fucking Lebanon. It's like, no one fucking wants them. And it's crazy. It's crazy because of course everyone on the left yesterday was like pro-Palestine. And I respect the people on the right who are like, I do not want to send American dollars when Americans are dying to endless foreign wars and all that. But I'm like, yeah, but also like, I don't want them one step fucking closer to us as well, which is what it is. And it's crazy. You don't defend them. Like, they're going to lose. They'll all get slaughtered. They're surrounded by fucking enemies. I wish we could just physically pick them up on a map and move them to a safe place. But unfortunately, we can't do that. But listening to her, I was like, fuck, man. I was like, I mean, she's right. There's no winning with these people because they're taught from a young age to kill all Jews, and Jews are the problem, and, spread their word and kill everyone in the path. And like, unfortunately, and it's war. Innocent, people die. But I just was like listening to her speak. I was like, damn, this is crazy. Reality.
Yeah, people can't stomach what war really means. And because you know what, like I think everything about our lives, especially like 90s kids, like 80s kids, 90s kids, everything about our lives was the exception to the rule, not the rule. But we acted as if that's the way the world would always be. So to me, I actually, as someone who's Jewish and as someone who's always been conservative, my take is like today is obviously a very serious day, but every day's been serious. And also the world that I woke up to on October 8th was the exact same world that I fell asleep to on October 6th, because I knew people hated Jews, Israel, America, the West, freedom, Christianity. Yeah. Like I knew people hated us this much. And now it's just a lot of people have woken up, and also a lot of people are blaming the wrong people right now. But I think that for anyone who thinks that like the people who call America Big Satan will not be coming after America are sorely mistaken. But I would also say I really understand the frustration right now of people saying no, not a single more dollar to foreign aid until hurricane victims get helped. Because as someone who thinks we need Israel not just existentially as a Jew, but as an American who wants to have freedom protected and knows that Israel is basically doing America's job right now. Like Israel took out the head of Hezbollah, who was in charge of the attack on over 240 US military personnel in Lebanon in the 80s. And when they detonated a bomb outside of US barracks, you know, they took that leader out. They're the ones going after Iran. Iran's trying to come after the US. Like Israel's being more America than America is these days. But still, if you're telling me that you cannot assist Americans who are stuck, who died, who are like need serious help after a hurricane, yeah, there shouldn't be a dollar going anywhere else. And that's really hard. And we have a lot of stuff we want to talk about with the hurricane, including Kamala going on a fucking girls sex podcast instead of doing anything serious. But we're going to get to that in a little bit. I think we should warm up because we're going to be so angry about that. Let's cover something else first. We could talk about.
I was like, I'm down to. I was just gonna swipe through the topics real quick. So I'll like, if you want, I'll just say it because I think it's just easier to go like that. So the RNC sues Fulton County elections director for refusing to hire Republican poll workers. Only 15 Republicans were hired out of over 800 election staff. And I want to follow that with, I just listened to the Matt Walsh episode about the woman, I assume Republican, who was working in the polls and had sent a screenshot of something in one of the machines. I listened to her court case on Matt Walsh's show. Don't remember the last time I heard a fucking judge speak so biasly to a woman. She's 70. She's a cancer survivor. And they gave her the maximum penalty for every single thing. She's going to prison. Most likely she's going to die there for 9 years. So I don't know if you looked into that, but that is fucking crazy.
No, why did you go to jail?
And I'm like,
she took a screenshot of something?
Murders.
But why was she going to jail?
Basically, tampering with voting poll booth, whatever the fuck you want to call it, which is crazy because I'm like, you can literally murder someone and you're going to get less time than this mom.
Yeah. But also, do we know anyone who was like, you know, committing election fraud on the left who went to jail? Because you're telling me there was no one and none of them went to jail?
What about the people who were stuffing the ballot boxes meanwhile the news was filming?
While the news was filming. That clip of a woman actually taking a duffel bag and stuffing the ballot box. Yeah. Insane. I mean, listen, it's
not about that 10,000 Mules movie where like
15 workers out of 800 are Republican in Fulton County. And we wonder why people don't trust the election process. The number of people I speak with, even in New York, even here where everyone's so lib, and you'll ask people, do you think we're going to know the results on election night? And everyone is saying it doesn't matter who wins and loses. I don't think we'll have resolution the night of the election. That's what everyone is saying right now. And that's how I feel.
And I want to point out this will be the third time I've ever voted in my life, which like, think about it, is really funny. I've voted 3 times in my life and all have been for Donald Trump, which is like so funny. The first time I went to vote, I went with a MAGA hat on and the woman counting the ballots had like shaved head, a pink pussy hat on, and like literally an N95. And I'm like, and by the way, there was a weird thing with our ballots here where you could actually see if you were Democrat or Republican because there was like a little hole in the ballot in the envelope. And I'm like, oh, you're telling me that this freak fucking dyke bitch is gonna safely secure my Republican ballot, the same woman who would literally put me in a modern day concentration camp because they went around and literally asked people if they would do that. And they were like, yes, please, immediately, the unvaccinated Republicans. And I'm like, oh, you think my ballot was safe with her? Are you fucking out of your mind?
No. But that does remind me to tell everybody, vote early. Vote early. We have no idea what's going to happen on election day. I will be voting early. I'm in New York for a couple of weeks and I'm going back to Florida at least a week before the election, a week and a half before the election, so that I can go and vote in person early because I'm not taking chances of, things are just not working on election day. Do you remember in Arizona when the power went out and the pipes bursting was when they were counting, but they were that's when people went back home from Arizona because they were told that the machines weren't working. And then Fox News called it early. Fox News, basically CNN with a blue background at this point.
Vote early.
Vote for
your district attorneys as well.
Yeah. So it's this waiting game right now. We have a month until the election and I just This is the worst. This is going to be the worst month ever. It's going to be so stressful. I wonder if we've already had the October surprise.
Actually, no, I have good news.
What's your good news?
I have good news. So yesterday it was 28 Democrats versus 20 Republicans, but six people went in as undecided voters. So they wanted to see what everyone was doing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to lie. I think the Republicans sent up the dumbest people. And I think we lost most of these debates except for Sheila and Xavier. But I will say though, we do this for a living. So of course we have an advantage. At the very end, I don't give a fuck legally. I'm going to say whatever fuck I want. At the very end, they do a poll of like the fake presidential winner. Trump won. We won. And keep in mind, these are the most far left people, and everyone who was undecided was probably a left-leaning person. We fucking won that. And you know how scared they are after we fucking won that last night? You know what they said afterwards? They were like, so if you're, this is just a fake election. So if you're at home, like an undecided voter, I was like, oh my God, you guys are still fucking freaking out because we just did a fake election and we fucking won. Because I guarantee all the undecided voters saw what the left was saying during all these debates and like 9-month abortions and denying that transgenderism and all these things are happening. And I was like, oh my God, they fucking literally saw this shit and now they're fucking panicking. So they made that announcement and I'm like, wait, that's so funny. That's so funny. You said if you don't like the outcome of this, but if Kamala was the winner, I bet you wouldn't say that there's a different outcome. I'm just saying, honestly, I was freaking out last night. I was like screaming, clapping because I was like, holy shit, we even won the fake debate. Like, that's amazing.
You know what's so funny about that is that they're even election deniers when it's fake, right? That's how bad it is on the left, right? They couldn't accept 2016. Hillary Clinton went on her pony show around, Howard Stern and all the talk shows and was saying, how would you feel if an election was stolen from you? It was Russia. It was like, stolen from us.
Yeah,
of course. And then even in a fake podcast election, they will deny it. They can't accept it. But that's why I don't believe, part of me doesn't believe the polls. I generally don't. I think there's a really good chance that Trump has the majority of people in this country, that he can win in a true landslide. And I really do believe at this point that the reason the polls look as close as they do is because they want a margin of cheating and they want to be able to make it seem less obvious if they are able to successfully steal it. I just don't know. Like, I know so many people in New York, so many New Yorkers who hate Donald Trump, which is to me so insane. Like, imagine missing this moment. Imagine living in this time and you're not red pilled. Like, that sucks. That's really sad for you. But they don't like Kamala either. And so I think a lot of those people are going to write in or stay at home. And who's actually, like, Kamala's not really motivating people. And at this point, people are so disenchanted with the left that I don't think they're going to come out in droves to vote against Trump the way that they actually did the last two elections. So that does make me hopeful. But obviously we have a huge problem with the hurricane. We have many problems. Let's take like the more surface level problem that's not about people's lives, which is very important, and we will get to. But yeah,
and also, so one person said something yesterday and it really made me mad. This guy was saying that the reason the country's divided is because of Trump. And I want to point out, because he's so fucking incorrect on that, it is not because of Trump. It is the fucking media. The media is the division. The media is the fucking enemy. And all these people would not have any of these feelings if it wasn't for the media. And the media is responsible for almost ending his life. So fuck these people for being so dumb they can't see it's the media. With that said, so this is insane. So if you don't hate the media enough and this administration, hate them more, FEMA, which we all know is a corrupt organization for laundering money, disaster preparedness meeting says, quote unquote, we should focus our efforts on LGBTQIA people. They struggle before the storm. FEMA relief is no longer about the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. It's about disaster equality.
It's so insane. We deserve everything we get with this kind of stuff. Like, it's so troubling. Also, I want to know, has FEMA even saved any? Have they saved any LGBTQIA lives anyways? Because it seems like they're helping absolutely nobody right now. It seems like everyone who's getting help is getting helped by just Americans who are banding together, generally white, straight white men who are getting together, getting care packages together, getting generators, taking their trucks and going in to save people. Did you see the exchange between Elon Musk and Pete Buttigieg on Twitter, on X, yesterday? So Elon's team was trying to bring Starlinks in to people in North Carolina, and FEMA is not allowing them to land. Mm-hmm. And we've seen a lot where the skies are getting blocked off from people who are trying to help. And, 10 years ago, I may have said, you know what, like the government needs to maintain order. So they can't just have people flying drones and stuff like that, because like they need to make sure everything's done in the right way. Absolutely not. There is a clear effort right now to stop people from getting help because they know that they're losing North Carolina. And so if they make it difficult for people to live there and be there, then those people won't be able to vote and they'll be able to win the election. And that is how twisted things are. And it took them days before even sending a single troop, a single National Guard person in to help these people. And so Elon's tweeting about his helicopters not being able to land to bring aid to people. Pete Buttigieg comes in because obviously it's getting a lot of attention. It seems like they actually did resolve the issue where they were able to land, but it's only because Elon blew it up. And Elon did he did the diplomatic thing, and he posted a tweet that said, Pete Buttigieg is on top of it. Like, we had a great conversation. We're landing the helicopters. And I get why he's doing that, because also Elon just cares about helping people. So he's just going to say the right thing to keep the peace. There's no way Pete Buttigieg is on top of this. He's actively blocking aid to Americans. And we saw they announced $126 billion, some number like that, over $100 billion, or was it million? No, $100 million. Sorry, million to Lebanon. The same day that they announced like $2 million, something pathetic, to people in North Carolina. Right now, if you're an illegal alien in this country, you're getting free housing, an EBT card, a cell phone, food, all these things taken care of for you. What do you get if you're living in North Carolina? You have to apply online when you have no Wi-Fi. You're still probably stranded there. There's a good chance you're stuck in one of the mountain towns where the roads have been washed out. And you're supposed to apply for a $715 loan that you have to pay back. It's about $700 for your entire family. It's per household. Okay. So why would you why bother going through that? And that's what you're getting as an American citizen. And this is why I get when people, I think there's nuance in war. I think like there are wars that further American interests and wars that don't. And there are ways to go about it as well to make sure that you achieve your goals. But this is why I get when people just simply say, not a single dollar outside of the US, right? Because you look at that and how could you think otherwise?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I respect all those Republicans 100%. And I understand what they mean. Like, ask me if I give a fuck what is going on in Lebanon right now. This is crazy. So it said, following Hurricane Helene, less than 1% of households in the flood-affected parts of Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina have flood insurance, leaving hundreds of thousands of residents struggling to rebuild without any financial protection. That is so insane. I just have been preaching for so long. This is the most anti-American administration we have ever seen. They hate us so much. And you have the three most evil ones actually having the balls to go on and say, we will start jailing people for misinformation and hate speech, which we know is anything that comes out of a Republican's mouth. How could you see what is happening with Americans that have lost everything, that are suffering? I mean, even just the videos of, people's pets all dying, all these things. And then to have the ball, when Kamala posted the money to Lebanon, every right-wing account was like, I literally thought this was the parody account, because I can't believe you can be this fucking heartless and evil to send a fucking dollar. I'm sorry. And I am one of those people that's like not a dollar to another country until these people are taken care of. And people, let's not forget, when this shit happened in Maui, what was FEMA doing? FEMA put themselves in 5-star hotels. FEMA is so corrupt. And then, of course, the Americans that are trying to help, they're blocking them. Like that guy that was trying to helicopter in supplies and all these things. And I'm like, you guys can't tell me there's not something going on. And I will add, one of the dumbest comments I heard yesterday is they don't think Elon Musk endorsing Trump matters or is going to have a positive effect for us. You don't think one of the richest, most famous people in the world has an effect on us? Of course it did. He already shot up in the polls like 3% today. These people are so fucking scared. They're terrified because we're fucking winning and we're going to win.
You know what's crazy about the Kamala tweet when she tweeted about Lebanon? At first I saw it and my reaction was, this is so tone deaf. They can't even recognize the moment. They have no situational awareness. That's crazy. And then I realized I think it's actually worse than that. And I think they did it on purpose. I think she tweeted that and her team decided that that was the tweet she should send out because they want to show you how much they hate you. And that's why Kamala tweeted that, because why else? Why else would you tweet that in a moment like this? Even it's to show you that they can send the money that's meant to help you, and they're going to send it overseas to people who hate you, to people who would, if they could, establish a caliphate over you. And the money's going there instead because that's the power that they have, and we're powerless, and we just live in their world, and they take our tax dollars and use it to abuse us. That's why I think Kamala actually sent that tweet out. I think it's truly,
I mean,
it's malignant.
Disgusting.
She's disgusting. Talking about disgusting, let's talk about her being on Call Her Daddy.
Yeah, she also, by the way, she said, quote unquote, full confidence that Biden has the stamina and around the clock mentality and clarity to handle the domestic and international crisis before him. No one knows where he is. I don't even know if he's alive. Also, I want to point out the polls saying, which is why I think we won the independent vote yesterday. 2/3 of registered voters believe that illegal migrants should be deported. That means people in the middle and people that are left-leaning are finally coming around to the point where this is out of fucking control and these people cannot be in this country anymore, and also drain our fucking resources.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that fucking dumb bitch.
Well, you know, with everything with the hurricane, imagine if this were Trump. First of all, Trump is acting like the president, and he went to Georgia and North Carolina to be there with people who are suffering. But there's also only so much the man can do because he doesn't donate money. He can't redirect government resources. So there's only so much he can do. But do you remember when there was that terrible hurricane under Trump in Puerto Rico? And I saw headlines over the weekend about and video footage with the proof that at the time they were claiming Trump wasn't helping the people of Puerto Rico, and people went and found all the aid, like the water, the food, everything. It was sitting in warehouses, and they were intentionally not releasing it to people to make it look like Trump was incompetent, because that's how much they hate you. They'd rather you suffer in order to make Donald Trump and the right look bad. And that is where we are as a country.
Kind of like when they created COVID in a lab and then released it to fuck up his presidency.
Do you remember when they thought it was less racist to say that Chinese people eat bat soup, and that was a better explanation? That was crazy. That was like one of the most racist. Like,
then literally
so racist. They're so racist. They're like, black people don't know how to get IDs, and also Chinese people eat pangolin soup. Yum yum yum.
They literally were like, they eat animals. That's why it happened. They eat like weird fucked up animals.
They eat raw bat soup that they don't like make properly enough. And we were all like, that makes sense. Crazy.
Actually, the South Park episode they did on that was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I haven't seen that episode. I do like South Park though, but I haven't seen that one.
That's amazing. Okay, so obviously, you know, as Americans are perishing before our eyes and starving and have lost everything and won't be able to rebuild, especially, I don't think you can build a house for $750. Kamala Harris and the Call Her Daddy podcast attempt to come up with any governmental law that controls a man's body. They both say there isn't one, then they laugh about it. And the correct answer is yes, the draft, which has cost over 1 million male lives in U.S. history. So they're actually, of course, what are they doing? So she's going on there, says she's not qualified to talk about the border, which is hilarious. But she's like, I do have one thing I can talk about, which is the only thing retarded women care about, which is abortion. So she goes on there to talk about that. Meanwhile, they laughed about drafting men.
Mm-hmm. You know what I want to ask? I like asking feminist women if they think that men and women can do the same things, and they say yes. And then you just ask them, okay, so if we have World War III and there's a draft, will you go? Should we send you to the front lines? Because then the feminism leaves their body as soon as you ask that. But no, everything about this interview is insulting. It's so many layers deep as to how insulting this is. Let's talk about those layers. First is that Kamala refuses to do any serious interviews. The ones she's done are all pre-taped, staged. We remember that, was it the CNN one where they told us that they got 45 minutes of interview, but we know the final cut was 17, 18 minutes. So they had to cut so much out because she couldn't have 45 minutes worth of good answers. And the 17 minutes, 18 minutes that we saw were so embarrassing still. So there's that. She's doing basically a sex advice podcast, like fine. Like, listen, maybe like Trump does some podcasts with gamers, gamblers, whatever. Like maybe like, let's skip on that judgment part for a second, even though I don't think it's the same at all, but let's take away the content of what these podcasts are doing. Because you could say, listen, they just want to reach broad audiences, whatever, even though Trump has certainly not done anything like this. Cause if he did, it would be all over the news. But she does a totally unserious podcast during the hurricane. She was also doing one of those like magazine silly like answer internet question interviews while the hurricane was happening, while Americans are literally on their roofs holding onto their children and trying not to die, and a lot of them dying. And the fact that this is the same way that the left claims that they're the party for minorities, they're the ones that care about Black people, even though they're the most racist, they're the ones that think the least of Black people, the least of minorities. And it's the same with women. They say that they're the party that cares about women's rights, and that, it's like the girl boss feminist vibe on this podcast. But you think so little of women that you think the only issue that you should be talking about to get women's attention is not the economy. It's not the border. It's none of those. It's none of these topics that are really, it's not like your healthcare costs going up. No, it's abortion, which is left up to the states, which we know Donald Trump will not be instituting a nationwide ban on. And by the way, we could talk about Melania for a second as a little side note, because I thought that was really smart. And I think the movement is that we're really good at eating ourselves alive and just fighting with each other. Melania Trump came out with a clip just before the weekend or over the weekend where she came out saying it's a woman's choice. And I know a lot of women, and not a lot of women, a lot of conservatives are very upset by this message. Donald Trump is a New York businessman, and I think he has done a very good job championing conservative values. And we saw what he did with the Supreme Court. We saw what happened with Roe v. Wade getting overturned. He is protecting the rights. But what Melania did is very good, because someone who's not already pro-life is not going to feel connected to our movement. And it's like as if you can't save all the lives of babies, you'll save none of them, right? And we need to win the White House.
This is literally my argument on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is why, okay, first of all, she is such a fucking queen. I'm so happy she did that. Obviously, like, I'm a pro-choice Republican, so, conservatives hate me for that. But I tell people, I'm like, abortion is something you will never win. The country will never, ever be on your side. We will never go back to that. And you can dig your heels into the sand and you can die in that sand, but that's never going to happen. And also I'm like, okay, so would you rather have an abortion at a certain limit, which is I'm abortion with very strict limits, or would you rather just say no abortions at all and then have babies being aborted at 8 and 9 months, which of course is happening. That's my argument with Republicans, which drives me fucking crazy. And by the way, every Republican I talk to agrees with me, especially the ones that live in cities, which is it is the majority out here, of course. And I'm like, so would you rather save some babies, or would you rather dig your heels in the sand and save none at all? Because at the end of the day, I think saving none at all is way more fucking evil and corrupt.
Yeah. And I think that what Melania did was good. She has her own opinion. And I think it's authentic. And it just goes to show that everything that Donald Trump says, everything that Melania says, it's authentic, because she knows it's not going to be popular with the base. And she said it anyways. And she's saying it because they understand that we need to get people who are in like, so many women vote only off of abortion. And whether or not you think that's stupid, I think that's stupid. But that's the reality.
Of course, it's dumb.
Calling reality dumb doesn't change reality. And the Trump campaign recognized that. And that's why Melania put that clip out. Yeah. And I think it was very good. The same way that
we need to correct her on we need to correct her on abortion is not in the Constitution.
Yeah.
What is happening here? That is not a constitutional right. That makes no fucking sense. That's literally insane. It is not your right to kill a baby. It's not. And I'm pro-choice, and I understand
that's what they said. They were talking about that on They're talking about that on Call Her Daddy. It's so embarrassing. The fact that they think this is how women need to be spoken to, the same way they think that minorities need DEI and all of that. It's like they think so little of the people they claim to champion, that women can only understand Kamala if she's on a lowbrow podcast. And that's how they're going to win women.
Yeah. Which is so funny because someone was tweeting like, oh, like Alex Cooper actually said this a long time ago. She's actually conservative. She's not a fucking conservative, idiots. She does a podcast that literally encourages young girls to drink and party and fuck guys and be empowered by all these things and have abortions. I'm like, that is such a dumb, weird argument. By the way, it's like, really, how many Republicans and conservatives has she had on the show? None. This should be so insulting to every woman. And you know how I know things are changing? I looked at the comment section on Instagram of it, and every single person was like, I've watched every episode. I followed you forever. This is so tone deaf. This is so insulting that this is what you think of women and what you're choosing to promote right now. Wow. They were like, we are officially done with you. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
Wow. That's hope. Really amazing. That's really amazing. Also, you know what's crazy is that Kamala, of the interviews she's done, and also Doug Emhoff, no one's asked about the allegations that have been substantiated by multiple people to the Daily Mail about the fact that he allegedly smacked an ex-girlfriend so hard when they were in France together that she spun around. And he's supposed to be the face. By the way, I think he is the face of a new kind of guy in America. He's the low T soy beta progressive cuck who pretends to be a champion of women and actually treats them like shit. That seems totally in line with a new type of guy, and especially a guy for Kamala Harris, because you have to forgive a lot of her stuff. But no one's not just that. Jen Psaki had an interview with Doug Emhoff last week when this information was already in the news. And she, in this interview, is saying, you're so supportive of your wife. How, all these softball, just like not even questions, just statements like, how does it bother you? How do you deal with the fact that when people attack your wife, and you're creating a new path as like, first gentleman, and how will you do that? And just sucking up to a point where there is no journalistic integrity anymore. You can't even call them a journalist anymore to not ask that question. On the right, we ask tough questions of our candidates. And this is so egregious. Just like the hurricane, the mainstream media has totally swept this story under the rug. And, I kudos to the woman who came forward. Her name isn't out there, but to even come forward when he clearly knows who she is, she's like really risking a lot, not just professionally, financially, but she's risking her life, basically. She's risking her life to come out and give this story. And it's also in line with what we seem to understand from the nanny that he knocked up. And now stories are coming out because people were speculating. Is there a kid? Did he make her get an abortion? What happened? And the reports are out that her friend, that she believes in her, and there are two sides to every story, but this is becoming a pattern now. And she believes that she lost the baby. Apparently she suffered a miscarriage, and it's because he was so cruel to her. I think he was verbally abusing her, that she was so stressed that she lost the baby. So there was no abortion in the end. There was no baby in the end, but it's because she was so stressed out from him. And now we're hearing this. And when you're honest about, when you have the truth on your side, you don't run from a story. Because, if I would think if someone accused me of something crazy, like, you did something in an Uber, I would say, let's get the videotape and play it, because I'm not hiding from anything. Why is Doug Emhoff not coming out and saying, that's just not true? Even just saying that's just not true. You don't have to give it a lot of airtime.
Obviously. Yeah. It's even Megyn Kelly was even breaking that down about like when you go to lie, you answer a question a certain way. That's basically what he was doing. I'm like, it's so funny. Thank God. She must have been independent yesterday. She stood up in front of her entire fucking psycho liberal panel, and she was like, as someone who like doesn't have a foot in this race, oh my God, I was like, thank God for you. She even admitted yesterday, after this whole fucking 10-hour debate, she was like, I will say that there is a clear bias across the board in the entire world against Republicans. And she was like, I understand they come off as very brash and say things that are shocking. And she was like, I think the reason they act like this is because they've like literally been bullied because of who they are for so fucking long. And I'm like, thank you. Even a liberal is starting to see we have been silenced and bullied, and there is such a fucking bias. If any Republican man had a story out, say it was JD Vance like that, they would be going after them every fucking day. He would be labeled as a misogynist, a fucking woman hitter, an abuser. He'd be tried in court. And I'm like, thank God people are literally on the other side are starting to be like, there's a clear fucking insane bias here. And it's true. We've been literally called racist and Nazis and told we're all Hitler for so long. That's why we're fucking angry. And we are sticking up for ourselves and we are fucking loud. And yeah, the things we say might be shocking and offensive, but they're probably the fucking truth. So I'm like, it's good to see that people are starting to wake up to these things. Like, of course there's a bias.
Yeah.
There's always a bias.
Crazy. I was seeing friends yesterday here in New York, and one of the friends was telling me how his mom basically just regurgitates Apple News headlines. And I get them because I want to see what they're saying. And their headlines are so obscene and so biased. And I just wonder, and it's just crazy to me because there are so many people who don't have this information. And we're so lucky to have X, but X is self-selecting, right? It's like, I think of it, X is like a giant group chat for based patriots across the world.
Literally.
People who love the West. And that's kind of, there are other people because sometimes my algorithm changes and my feed turns into stuff I like, I don't want to be in an echo chamber, but sometimes it becomes a little too crazy and like too leftist. So obviously those people are on the platform, but I really do think that for the most part, it is where like people who already agree with us and think like us, like you already want to be there. My liberal friends generally are not on Twitter, on X. I'm dead naming Twitter, which I'm actually okay with. But talking about all the Twitter stuff too, Elon going to Butler, Pennsylvania for Trump. Every time Trump does something iconic, somehow the man has an even more iconic moment. And I don't know how he keeps doing it over and over again. Just when you think you get the very best of Trump, he's even better. And this time it's with Elon Musk.
When Elon said I'm dark MAGA today, I was like literally in tears driving. I was like, oh my God, he did not say he's dark MAGA with the black MAGA hat on. That was amazing. It's like we just got endorsed by the most famous person in the world. By the way, one of the most intelligent people in the world.
Mm-hmm. He's the man standing up. He's the one who's literally standing up to protect us from falling off a cliff from civilization to nihilism. Elon Musk is saying, he and Donald Trump, those two men, I was actually nervous that they were there at the same time because they're the two men that our entire like civilization kind of hinges on right now. And it sounds so dramatic. And you know what? I really disagree with the people. I just want to say I have a gripe, which is I have many grapes, but the one I'm focused on right now in this moment is the people who say, oh, every election cycle, people think this is the most important election cycle. That's not true. I haven't always felt that way. A lot of people, I felt like, this is not good for the country. And by the way, we were right. When I was upset that Obama won in 2012, we were right to be upset because Barack Obama started all of this. This destruction, this division in our country began then. And it's like, it's the left's jihad, which is to just ruin America. But this election really, there comes a point where you're past the point of no return. And I do believe that that's what happens this election if Kamala is able to steal it. I'm not even going to say wins because there's just no world where Kamala Harris is actually winning the popular vote here. And even the popular vote.
You saw Trump right now. Trump is like winning the popular vote by like, he's at like what, 67% or something unfucking believably high to the point where you're like, oh, so you're going to tell me the person who clearly won the popular vote is not winning this? Like, of course it is. And also I will say, I don't think my friends who are MAGA, Republican, conservative, whatever they are out here, I don't think a lot of them voted last time. They're sure as fuck voting this time. I mean, even in West Hollywood, it's crazy. There's like my friends in a group chat are like sending me photos of like dudes at Equinox working out with like MAGA hats on. Because the thing is, my friend Matt made a very good point I was with. He was like, you have to realize, he was like, your anger, your, fear, your passion, all these things. He was like, the other side has that too. They're feeling the exact same things about their candidate. That's why I'm like, not only I'm putting together a voter guide for Los Angeles and California so I can help people. I am literally offering to take people, to fill it out with them, to come to my house, literally doing everything I fucking can. And I'm really not this type of person and I don't want to do these things and I hate talking to people, but I'm doing every fucking thing I can. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. If you don't go and you fucking vote, all these things, I'm like, you were cut out of my life forever. I'm like, way too much is fucking riding on this right now. And especially in LA, our safety and our lives. and our free speech. Without that, we're nothing, and we have nothing.
Emily, I don't think you should bring people to your home though, because you'll get a lot of
the ones I've met.
It would be a very effective way to get a lot more voters. So, people would be very.
It's so funny because everyone that comes up to me is like in LA is like so nice and like lovely, and it's like, and then it is crazy though because in here I feel it because like I'm wearing my MAGA hat 24/7, and it's just like crazy how heightened people's emotions are right now. I got shoved by a guy and he called me a fucking moron on my hike the other day.
Are you serious?
It was crazy. And then I had 3 other women. Yeah. So I was at Runyon, which is like the most popular hike here. And it was crazy because it's a huge path. And this guy was running super fast. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? This guy's like not moving and there's no one on the fucking path. And I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? Then he runs next to me. I move all the way next to the cliff. Okay. And he fucking literally runs into me on purpose, shoves me and calls me he goes, fucking moron. And he ran so fucking fast because like, I don't fuck around now. I carry mace, I carry a taser. And one thing about me, like I want the smoke and I will throw hands, but I couldn't believe it because I couldn't even catch up to him. But I told guys that hike there every day what he looked like and what happened. And then it was funny because, wow, this gets so blurry. 3 times after that, women talk shit to me. And the one, I grabbed her shoulder and turned her around. And I was like, sorry, what did you have to say about me being dumb? And they're always like, what do you, get away from me. Don't talk to me. Don't touch me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, if you're going to fucking talk shit, back it the fuck up. I'll have a fucking Senate hall meeting right here. I was like, I'm fucking crazy. So don't pull this shit with me. But I'm like, the party of love and tolerance. By the way, the guy that shoved me was clearly flaming gay. And I'm like, if you think you can put your fucking hands on a woman because you fuck dudes, I know what he looks like. I'm like, just wait until I have my boyfriend, my German Shepherd. I'm like, it's fucking on, bitch. I was like, it is war with these people. I was like, oh, you're a gay guy, so you can assault a woman?
But that's what happens in society when you just say men and women are the same. We're spiritually the same, but we're not the same. And so that's what happens where a guy thinks that it's acceptable to shove a woman. I'm here in New York City for a couple weeks and I have multiple MAGA hats and I'm curious to see what happens this time. Last time I was here, I wore a MAGA hat around, but it was just a few days. And the only real interaction I got was I mentioned it on a show a while ago because it was a couple months ago now, one of our early episodes. We're still in an early episode. This is episode 11 or 12, but I think it's 11.
One of our early episodes, like last week.
We have like 20 reviews on Spotify now. Thank you for everyone who reviewed our episode after we talked about the person who gave us 1 4-star review that messed up our 5-star standing. If you can listen to us or go to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and rate us 5 stars only, please. If you have complaints, just email us or comment with the complaints, but don't actually rate the complaint. That's ridiculous. Like we obviously want 5 stars. So like, why would you do that to us? And keep it in the family. Like we're all, like if you're listening to this and you want things to improve, just let us know. Don't make it a public 4-star review. Thank you so much. But back to this, when I was
fucking bitch is what we're trying to say.
Yeah. But when I was here, the worst I had was those androgynous, weird Zeezer, like purple haired freaks who were laughing in a coffee shop when I was sitting with my MAGA hat. And I looked over and they looked like they'd be in college, but I feel like they're out of college. They just dress like they're still in college. And I asked, are you laughing at my hat? And this girl didn't know what to say because they can't actually articulate most of their arguments. And she said, yeah, I think it's stupid. And I looked at her and I just said, if I misgendered you, you would cry. And she just didn't know what to say. But instead, what I had this weekend is I was walking through the city and a girl stopped me saying she follows my Instagram account and that I actually was sort of her, dipping her toe into politics because she saw one of my cultural videos, decided to follow me, realized that what I was saying she agreed with, and she thought I didn't actually consider myself to be conservative, but now I do because I agree with what you're saying. I just never thought about it like that. And that was really nice to hear. And what was so cool is she was on the street selling like a sort of drink, like some health drink that she's worked on. And the ingredients are simple. It was like 6 ingredients or 8 ingredients, something like that. Just very much in line with what we talk about with just make America healthy again. Like healthy body means healthy mind, which means you have control over yourself, autonomy. Government doesn't get to become your daddy, And I thought like that's so fitting that that's what she's doing. And she's someone who has found us. And that I like that. And she did not consider herself to be conservative until listening to us. So that's really cool.
Oh, by the way, all the Democrats yesterday were either like, they were like literally like non-binary retards. Half of them were like fat as fuck. One chick was like talking about like Indian preservation. I was like, oh, are we talking about the fat American Indian girl like right now? I was like, oh my God, you guys all look insane. They also asked the producers at one point, they were literally like, are they allowed to just say, okay, this is censorship in real life. This is how you know these people are nuts. They were talking to the producers and asked if the Republican side was just able to say whatever they want. And I was like, you're literally trying to censor us in fucking person. You're literally doing what we accuse you guys of. Also, 2 more points. I was in New York. I went to the Date Right event with Make America Hot Again or whatever to watch the debate. I personally have never been a fan of JD Vance. And then I watched the debate and I was like, holy shit, A Star Is Born. This could be a future president. And then me and my boyfriend watched the movie about his life and we're like literally crying the whole time. And I was like, wow, you must like ironically just fucking hate yourself to the fucking core to not be like a fan of this guy. Unbelievable fucking story. And on top of that, I was going to mention, shout out to Defiant L's for taking my video, clipping Emily Saves America out of it, and then Elon Musk retweeting it, which is at like 65 million. But fuck you. That video was pinned on my profile. Fox News has used it, and you're a little fucking bitch for doing that. And I messaged you about it. So don't pull that shit with me.
Yeah.
This is so, I hate that, like, we have to be so tacky. The fact that I'm going to have to watermark my videos because so many people steal them and make money off of them is so annoying. Just give me credit. Fuck that account. They suck.
Yeah, I don't think people realize. And I hate when people try to make the argument to us like it's good exposure. It's like, guess what? We don't pay our landlords with exposure.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's also not good exposure. You didn't get a single follower from that. Elon Musk retweeted Emily, and she didn't get a single fucking follower from it because some other account.
I gained like 2,000 followers.
Okay, but like
because what happened was
16 million views.
My video was even clipped weird. Yeah, exactly. Oh, cool. I gained 2,000 followers, which if Elon would have tagged me, I probably would have gained like fucking 200,000 followers. But I was like, it's so funny because that account let it hit like 2 million, which by the way, this piece of shit's making money on. So my video, the only person who doesn't get credit or makes money is my fucking video. Not only did he then so many people tagged me, he finally was like, oh, video from Emily Saves America. Like 17 hours later. And I'm like, honestly, fuck people in this industry who do that because they know how fucking hard we work and how much that fucking sucks for us. So
that's actually how Emily and I first got in touch because I made a video about another content person. I'm not going to say content creator because all they do, they're a content thief and they stole both of our videos all the time. And sorry, my chair is so creaky today, but because I'm in this new spot, it's like a very wooden chair that I'm on. And that's actually how we first connected because I made a video calling them out and I showed a clip of Emily with this guy's watermark on her face. He also put a watermark on my dog, which you don't do. And that's when things got serious.
Which by the way, I hope that, like, I don't want to put watermarks on my shit. It's fucking ghetto and ugly, but I will do it. And on top of that, I am having a lawyer draft a fucking letter. So if you want to take my content, that's fucking fine. But I am going to fucking email you from a lawyer for you to either pay me or take it down. Because frankly, this is bullshit. I do this for a living and I work very hard and it's not fair to people like us. We deserve the credit for our fucking voice that we risk a lot to have.
We risk a lot to have it. People will
just saying, I'm a little bitter about that.
We both get comments on videos. We get fewer of them now, but we both through time have gotten comments saying like, oh, like pick me girls or like, wow, you clearly like can't get a boyfriend. Like funny, like just really hurtful things and hateful things that we just laugh at because we know that's not the truth. And like we have really thick skin to be conservatives from New York and LA. Like we don't give a fuck. And it takes way more to hurt us than saying something like that. But I will say that what people don't realize is when we put our faces on these videos where we are actively speaking against this government regime, and I use the word regime on purpose, we are saying we will never have a normal job again, that the IRS could audit us for the rest of time, that if we get big enough and say enough stuff, we could get swatted in our homes because people get swatted all the time. Like this is not a game. This isn't for fame. This is because we deeply care about what's going on. And Emily, I want to show people we just care to show that you can look like us and be like us and live in a city and just be fucking normal and based and vote for Trump And that is why we're doing this. And then also on top of that, we need to earn a living because we can't have normal jobs doing this. And so when someone like Defiant L takes a video like Emily's, I knew when I saw that video, I had a bunch of friends message me and family members who were saying, oh my gosh, it's Emily as your co-host. This is so exciting. And before you and I spoke, I said to them, this sucks because she's not tagged. And I know it's almost worse.
Yeah.
That it's almost worse that he shared it than if he hadn't. Because if he hadn't, you wouldn't have that, like, what could have been feeling. That what could have been. I've had that too. I have people share my video. It goes viral on a meme page, not an Elon. I don't have that, not the Elon repost. But you have other people, although it did happen when I did my post about the Google results where you had Trump and you searched Trump and it showed only Kamala Harris. And then you searched Kamala Harris and it showed Kamala Harris. And I had people
Which is smart. I had your name and tag in it.
No, but the thing is, he quote tweeted my tweet, but then other people just took my videos with like my highlights, like I circled everything, like I did it. And then they were posting it. And, so it's just people really like to take credit for other people's work. And it's almost worse. It's almost worse that he had shared it.
No, it's like I tell people, I'm like, freedom is not fucking free. Like okay, cool. So you're seeing me now, but have you been following me the past 4.5 years when I have fucking no money, can't fucking find a job, like all these things? And it's so funny. Someone yesterday even asked me in front of a group, how much money do you make? And I said, first of all, don't ever fucking ask me that. That's so insulting and fucking weird. Second of all, if you want to make money, I don't suggest right-wing media. I suggest you go work at fucking In-N-Out because you'll actually make more money there. But it's like one of those things that I'm like, yeah, it comes at a huge cost. And it's like, this girl even came out to me and she was like, I saw you on the last Jubilee. She was like, I fucking hated you. Now that I've talked to you, I think you're amazing. I go, I am not on this fucking planet to be liked. If I'm being honest, I've actually been a very unlikable person my whole life. I don't give a fuck what you think about me. I'm here for moral fucking reasons and to do what I believe. I'm not here to be nice. I don't give a fuck if you like me, if you're offended by the things I say. That has been me my whole life and I'm never going to change. I go, frankly, I think if I'm likable, I'm probably doing something wrong or I'm probably being a complete pussy online and don't have the balls to say the real shit. So I'm like, I am not here to be likable. That has never been even on the top 1/1,000,000th of my fucking list. And now I'm at the point where I finally have worked hard enough. I actually deserve to defend myself online as well, especially when people steal my shit.
Well, I was at a wedding in New York City this weekend with very liberal people, and there were two comments that really stuck out to me. One was someone said something about, oh, it's like they made a comment that's basically like, oh, it's like kind of not polite to say something like that. And it's kind of offensive. And I said, just because you're offended doesn't make you right. Like, I don't know in what world you decided that being sensitive to that actually means that you're correct. And we were talking specifically about trans stuff. And I was like, this is like, okay. And then what was interesting is someone's husband actually is obviously very pro-Trump. And he was very excited for us to talk because their whole crew is very liberal. And he was talking about something with Trump or something with my videos. And the wife, who I've known from college, we were in a sorority together, but we're not friends. We're friendly. We have this mutual friend whose wedding was. And she shushed him in front of me, kind of like, oh, and she went, oh, babe, like, oh, no, we don't talk about that. And I looked at her and I said, I'd be so embarrassed to not say something that I know is true because you think you're just too scared to say it. And that's why you're shushing him. Yeah, you're afraid to offend people. And so that's why you're not saying it. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing. And I think this is a really good place for us to end for the week, which is, you need to be courageous. You need to speak up. I had people coming up to me at this wedding saying, oh, I'm in academia. I can't say this. Yes, you can. Because if you don't say it, then no one will. And you're just kicking the can down the road. And what do you think happens in a year and in 10 years? And when we have kids and their generation, what happens if we don't stick up for the things we believe in? You care so much about being liked. You care so much about being invited to dinners. You care about that career. I'd rather be folding shirts at a Walmart than be in a job where I can't say what I believe. And that's why Emily and I left our jobs. And listen, I know people have families, but you are setting your children up for failure, for a bad world, if you're not speaking up for the things that matter in society. And I know you have to choose your battles, but we're in a battle right now. We're in a serious moral battle in this country, and it's too important. So just don't be weak. Courage is contagious. And when you speak up, you start to realize the way we do that people come up to you and say, I agree with you. And we need more of that. So Until next week.
And also, I really want to point out, like, I don't care because, like, I know how much I've sacrificed. I don't need to prove it to anyone. Like, I have no respect for the, like, new Republicans that are coming around, like, this week and then want to go ahead and come on to all these talking points and be like grifting on it. I'm like, I'm sorry, where the fuck were you the past, like, 4 years? Like, I'm sorry. It's really, to me, it's like, you are very, very late to the game. I think people want to start saying the things I've been saying for 4 years and want to have the same level of success. I go, no, the only reason I have success is because I said these things when it was fucking crazy to say. And when you said it, you would lose everything. So why the fuck do you think you deserve what I have? I go 4 years ago, or however long ago, go on TV, say BLM is a terrorist organization, say you're against trans people, say all these fucking things, and then you can deserve the success. But all these people coming on with these bullshit generic talking points, like they deserve to be on fucking Fox every day. I'm like, sit the fuck down. I can't anymore. I'm sorry. It's so,
well, a lot of people do
there's so much going on.
A lot of people chase the money, and that's part of it.
And I never did.
Yeah.
I lost all my money because I do these things, and I had no money for a very long time. So eat shit.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
But Emily and I need money to keep this pod up. So if you lasted this long and you're still listening to us, please give us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Pod, Rumble, wherever it is that you are listening to us. YouTube. Oh yeah, this is also going to be on YouTube. Hopefully they don't ding us for this because they, don't always love us. But we will catch you all next week. Emily, where can everyone find you? She just disconnected.
Everyone can.
Your audio.
Well, that's okay.
Your audio just got a little shot.
That's fine.
I'll tell everybody. Everyone can find you at Emily Saves America. You can find me at NonLibTake. Follow us at Officially Unfollowed, and we will see you next week.
Bye, bitches.